So I took this old, well, maybe not that old. I'm guessing end stage George Wolstenholme and Sons Sheffield IXL, probably right around 1983 when they flopped. So yeah, I took it to the Tormec, gave it a bit of a grind and a bit more and a bit more. I think I finally may have gotten into the good metal. Very wire beady, very kind of stainless floppy wire bead back and forth thing. Anyway, so I stropped it in various ways, cut some cardboard, this and that. But yeah, yeah, I like the steel, and I like the blade. Now, while it was on the Tormec, this happened, and that I don't think is so good. Although it does explain how the knife came with this whole bit broken out. The whole thing presumably broke out, and then they just bunged it back in again. And then when it came out on me, that part snapped off as well. I have to go and look for it if I want to treasure this. It's a nice handle. If I could reconstruct it, kind of like it. But for now, that's going to one side. So yeah, this tiny Tang. Tiny. I don't think it snapped. That was it. A challenge. Now I got some of this fat carbon offcuts I bought. Just a bag of offcuts. All different. Well, not all the different, but a load of different options. My dear lady wife sort of somewhat color-coded them in this box for me. Then I came and fudged it all. But yeah, a lot of fun. I'm particularly taken by this gold and black. Comes across very different on the camera than looking at it in person. The gold on the camera here is very bright yellow. It's more brass-like to the eye. But yeah, that's interesting. It's a kind of a photogenic material, right? It really pops on the camera. Oops. So yeah, I figured I'm gonna. Well, I have some ideas. So here's the thing. Here's another knife that I had this happen to me with. This Honshu D2 Karambit that I decided to, I don't know what I wanted to do with it, make some kind of Warncliffe thing. Anyway, when I took the handle off, it turns out that the ring was a separate piece, and then it had a rod coming off it, and those two were conjoined. So in a sense, this crappy as it was, for one thing, they welded this rod on there, and for another, there was this other piece here, and the two, although they weren't actually touching, they were kind of structurally conjoined within the plastic handle. So quite strong, crafty, really, because imagine to put the ring on, you would have had to have had a massive piece of stock to start out with. And this is a budget thing. So that gives me the notion that, yes, there are ways that this can be reinforced. And my clamshell method of constructing a knife handle is one way. I've been thinking maybe I could kind of encase this Tang within an extra layer of steel epoxy, whether that would help. And then within the handle itself, I can run pins, you see. So let's say that I cut this in half, so I have a bolster and I have a butt, and then drill 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4 on each, so 8 holes. And then the two pieces will be, have these pillars running down, as it were. The pins running all the way down. So 4 steel pins, or brass even, or whatever, that'd help too. But at the end of the day, it's still not going to be like a survival knife. but I like the pucco, you know. And so I think with a bit of artifice and some modern materials, epoxy resins and this kind of thing, maybe some of that twine epoxy or something, you know, find a way to bind this all up really tight and make it a nice usable pucco. Very nice grinding. I mean, I complained about the wire bead, but the I think that's just because the steel was still fatigued back here, because it had been beaten on this thing. I straightened it up quite a lot as well. It had a fair bit of a kind of a. It's interesting that there's a kind of a compound taper. You can see how it swells out at the point there. And I'm figuring that for deliberate, you know, that they deliberately made it wider at the point because it's supposed to be a robust knife. By all appearances, until you bust it open and find out that it was made like a piece of crap. But as I say, this part I really like. So if I can, you know, do the handle thing like Cliff Stamp says, you know, a blade is good, but if you can have a handle, then that makes it really usable. Yeah, I mean, I think it could still get a bit sharper. So, I mean, it'll do that kind of slicing, no problem. But, yeah, maybe we could get it to... Well, let's try this 90-degree thing. Slicing. No. No. Yeah, cool. Thanks for watching.